I am Bentham and welcome back to Satisfactory Desert Bus, where in the previous episode we were working on some wire production. We now have one belt of copper ore going into this whole bit of machinery here, and out of it comes exactly one full belt of wire and one full belt of cable, and one day I'll remember to consistently get the names of those right. But I asked at the end of the episode if we should do some decorative stuff this episode, and I didn't get many responses. People kind of got distracted by everything else that happened, and maybe I didn't phrase it properly, so I only got a few responses, and it was relatively mixed. And so what I've decided is that we are going to do a decorative episode, but I'm going to save it for now. I would like to try and get some of the next stages of production going first, and then we can leave that running, doing its thing, and completing the space elevator while we run around and pretty everything up, because right now it's all kind of the bones of what will clearly be cooler looking buildings when the time comes. It's just the time hasn't come yet. Now let's try and descend down this ladder safely. Oh, easy, easy. And we fell. Yep, okay. I grabbed the ladder as I hit the ground, which did not help. That didn't make me in less pain at all. I'm gonna eat some barrel nuts, because I do have a crap ton of these now from going on my my wood and leaf gathering missions before. And that maybe solves the thing if someone was saying, what if I don't have sprint enabled while I do that? I didn't have sprint enabled. I still fell off anyway. I tried just facing forward with that one. At this point, every different method of going down a ladder has been suggested to me, and it always goes wrong anyway. But I wanted to hop over to the biofuel generators for a minute. Just gonna check one. Let's see. I want to find one that's close to... There we go. Okay, this one's just started on a new piece of fuel, and you may have heard a click there. I just started a stopwatch, because a bunch of people in comments, not actually on this series so much, but on my other multiplayer series with Enter Elysium that's going on at the same time, a lot of people were saying, why am I wasting biofuel by having extra machines running? Because they were saying, like, the more machines I have, the more biofuel the more, like, biofuel generators I have that are fueled and active, the more biofuel is being used up regardless of the actual power usage. However, you'll see that it says 15 seconds here for how long it takes to use biofuel, and my stopwatch is just about to hit 40 seconds, and we haven't gone through this one yet. In fact, we're using power at about a fifth of this speed, because yes, the biofuel generators only provide power for what is needed. It's just how they work. It's really nice. I'm not actually sure what is using power right now, thinking about it. The fact that they're so steady suggests to me that there's actually an idle power cost for all machines, which is interesting. So that's something to bear in mind. If you just build a bunch of machines that aren't doing anything, they are going to be sapping power. And that is that fuel used up. That was 1 minute. That was only 1 minute 15, just below 5 times, because that's about the ratio there. So proved. And yeah, it even says 20% utilization, so it'll be a fifth the speed. So there we go, that's that resolved for anyone who was thinking that by having a crap ton of biofuel generators I was wasting vast amounts of biofuel that it didn't need to be in whichever series, in any of them. It just uses how much is needed, same as Factorio. And I think that's consistent across all different forms of power generation, at least to my knowledge. I haven't actually done any others yet apart from coal, and I'm pretty sure coal follow the same principle. Oh, we do still have machines running. We still have all the wire stuff. That might have been the power usage then. And that would explain why it's rock solid, because I built it so those machines should always just about be running non-stop. Like, the exact demand and supply is 100% across all things. So everything should always be running and nothing should ever shut down because something's backed up anywhere. Okay, so maybe there isn't an idle cost. I don't know. Well, we might find out soon enough if the wire supply builds up. Let's check how that is going. Oh, there's a while before that happens yet. And same for the cable. No, they're going at a decent clip. I'm actually going to steal some of these. Now that we have a consistent supply of cable, I can always have a stack of the stuff on me. Very convenient. We need a little bit in the way of iron plates. Only a small amount. I like to keep 4 stacks. That seems like a nice number. It's kind of similar to what I do in Factorio. I keep 4 stacks of iron, 4 stacks of copper, but it's all kind of differently arranged here. Also got some copper ore. I mean, okay, fine. Everyone keeps saying I'm just going to chuck it in the bin. It hurts me to do that, because I come from Factorio, where all the resources are technically finite, or as finite as it takes to find a new one, that sort of thing. So I'm used to the idea that you don't want to ever waste resources, you don't ever throw anything away if it could be used somewhere else. But it is the case that in this game that's not true. It's all about, like, throughput and utilizing the supply rates and everything's consistent, so you don't actually... You can just, if you have excess ore, you can just throw it away. And I need to get out of that habit, but also, I've had that habit for so long, it's not going to be easy to shake, and half the time I'm just going to submit to it and dump stuff in a chest instead. As an example, here's a bunch of random crap, which I'm just going to leave sat in there. Oh, here's my concrete. Oh, that's fine. I've used one. I've used a singular piece of concrete, apparently. I don't even know how or where I've done that. But anyway, I want to start work on the grand project today. To a certain extent. It's going to be limited because we don't have all the materials yet we need to do it properly. But I want to get started on the basic bones of the bus, the desert bus. And so we've got to kind of work out what space we have to work with here. I've realized now that I built this, I've actually kind of muscled in on more space than I intended to. Because this is like a design you're supposed to mirror either along this line here or along this line here, depending on what kind of throughput you want and what kind of belts you have. And so this structure is 5 wide, meaning that really we want 5 tiles here reserved for the eventual other half of the building. We could decide not to use it, but I think I'd still want to do that, so that is my plan right now, to fill in this half and have that all work. I mean, I don't have to. I could just wall this up and have done with that, and then if I want more throughput, I just extend it over that way. Maybe that's the better way because it keeps everything in one place. Otherwise, I'm going to have some iron supplies coming around the side here and going up the side and into the thing. The reason I did it was because I could make it have a smaller footprint overall, because they could share this final block here. Everything could just merge into these mergers here, and it would save a small amount of space, but I don't know if I can be bothered. Like, I might just keep extending it that way. On the other hand, I could extend this out, have another column of mergers. That way I don't need to worry about having such high-speed belts to make sure the system can still work nicely. Next thing on the list is the fact that my plan right now is that the main bus goes in this direction. And there is a big old ridge over there. Not that that's a problem. I plan that the main bus can just go up and down as needed, really. As long as I plan well enough in advance. And even if I go further over this way, there are still various terrain features it has to encounter along the way. It's a difficult decision, and I've got to make it right now, because I've just put myself on the spot like this. I think that I might encounter issues with throughput later, if I just limit it to this one line, so I'm thinking what I might do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is the mirror image of the building. So it's going to be a hell of a building. It's going to be a big old factory, this particular bit, but it's going to be the ironworks. It's going to be the core of where all that happens. So that's to be expected. Another side of the argument is that theoretically I could have belts going over the top of things, so I could have higher throughput through a single column here, but there are height limitations of... I could only get a couple in there before it becomes a problem again. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with it this way, and I may regret that later, but I'm deliberately giving myself extra throughput. It's supposed to be future-proofing, and I feel like maybe future me will actually be happy with that. And so a lot of this desert patch here is ended up being reserved for ironworks, and maybe we'll have a steelworks further back as a thing. It makes sense to have that over there because steel comes into play later down the line. Definitely might work. Like I said, definitely might. That's my building techniques. Is like, this is probably gonna definitely work, right? Yeah, sure. Anyway, we need to extend this further to leave room for all the big fancy structure stuff we're gonna have. So we're gonna extend this some more. So this is the 5 reserved for the building. There's gonna be 1 more reserved for the iron ore belts that are gonna have to feed in this side, because now I've decided that's how that's working. And then we need a couple more. I'm thinking 2. And then finally, and yes, we're getting close to this edge, I know. Then finally, this will be where the vertical stack of bus belt stuff will be. So we'll stick a ramp up to this for a start. And for now, it won't be a vertical stack because we can't do that. It'll be a horizontal stack until we can do something about that. And yeah, we're going to have to pave over this random open area here. I don't think we'll extend far enough to get in, for that crashed ship to get in the way of us. If something does happen, I'm sure I can work it out. I can just increase the height. You can always just go higher. You can always build a sky factory if all else fails. Have I got these numbers right? Yes, I have. See, I'm thinking that, like, 2 tiles here is a good space for, like, vehicles to move through, me to build any old random emergency crap I need to, a belt line to come back again to feed to the storages and stuff like that. I've got a vague plan forming in my head. Like, at the end of the day, this is still early days for me as this goes. Like, I remember how I played Factorio over the years, and I know that this is only the beginning for builds and designs and stuff in this game. Like, I'm still in the very early stages of just testing out things and seeing what works, and I haven't even got to the end of the game yet, because I've done a couple of restarts. I'm still way behind on a lot of that stuff. So you're seeing me develop all my plans in real time, as I did with Factorio, and as I will probably do with Factory Town shortly after as well. The cycle continues. So I guess I'll put in the interim belts for now. And there's gonna be, I'm thinking 3 or 4 of them actually to get started with. It's gonna be a bit busy at the beginning. Got to think about how things are gonna work with what needs to be supplied for all the machines to do their thing. So what I'm thinking is iron plates, iron rods, iron rods, iron rods. I need a lot of iron rods. This is something I've realized looking at the ratios of everything, is that when it comes to the reinforced iron plates, you need basically an equal amount of rods and plates, but when it comes to the rotors, it's equal amounts of rods and rods. You need a full belt of rods and another full belt of rods to get 3 of those machines going. So we've got to have a lot of rod stuff happening here, and so my build is kind of going to be a bit weird for a while, because only half it's going to be operating, i.e. the rod half, while I'm going to be neglecting the plate half because it's not actually that important right now, and I think it comes more into play again later. So this is where we're going to make our reinforced iron plates, and we're going to have a 2-step system with constructors followed by assemblers. The constructors will make the screws, and then the screws will go into the assemblers, which are making the reinforced iron plates. Also, I realized I need a bunch of reinforced iron plates before I get started, which is always awkward when you're building a setup to make a thing, and then you need the thing it makes to make the setup. So you have to just go and bootstrap it, or in this case, manually craft it for a minute until you have that sorted. Luckily, we have plenty of iron supplies. We have iron forever at this point, so well, I say forever. We're gonna change that. Forever at our current rate of consumption. Later on, we're gonna really crank up consumption and start to make the supplies struggle, I think. It's gonna be a constant battle, really, I think. And how it's gonna work of... You can ramp up your demand for iron very, very quickly, just kind of by accident. And the game sort of demands that. It deliberately is set up in a way that you, like, have to multiply your usage of iron as you go up each stage if you want to maintain any sort of speed as the factory expands. Because the further you go, the more ridiculous amounts of materials everything requires. Okay, so we're going to make 4 constructors and then 3 assemblers, and they're going to just be right alongside here. And yeah, well, actually we need to do probably the belt first. So let's do it, I was going to say there, but no, here makes sense. And then, so what's going to look like? So this is going to be, actually this is going to be a rod belt, thinking about it. Yeah, so the plate belt's going to be this one. It's going to be slightly weird, it's fine. Later on it's going to get a lot easier once we have the higher speed belts, and we can just... Oh, and also when we have belt stacking. Basically, the moment we hit tier 3 and we get all that good stuff, it's going to really revolutionize my system that I'm about to build. So we need a whole bunch of splitters, basically. Just running all along the system. We got to line them up with constructors, though, so we have to build those first. But also I don't know what clearance I need for everything to have the space. So it's going to be a little bit of finagling to get started, I think. Like, we can start that right there, but then are we allowed to build the splitter here? And can we make sure to actually line this up with the right things? Now I'm going to go on this side. This side is easier. Flip, flip. And there we go. It's giving me the lines. I'm going to move the constructor a bit, just because right now I can't rebuild a constructor there if I wanted to. And I'd like to have that ability. That's the wrong button. Wait, what is it? F. There we go. I've managed to forget the deconstruct button for a minute. My brain short-circuited, as it sometimes does. Relatively common. Okay. Yeah, so we've got to be at that distance, just one tile further. And then we've got to extend this to 4 constructors. And this is our first scalable construction. It's the very beginning of us using the Factorio principles in a way that hopefully makes sense in this game. And this should be enough for the 4 we need. It's going to start to look a little bit weird from underneath, I've got to imagine. There we go. And yeah, how's this looking? Okay, so we've immediately completely paved over this ramp that we would be using to get up here. Though actually we can still go up there for now, though that won't last very long. We'll soon pave that over as well, because we've got the assemblers, of course. Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm surprised that worked, I'll be honest. I didn't think that was going to be a thing. Right, we've got to extend these at least like 2 further out. I mean, the plan is this whole thing is just a giant platform. It's going to be a continuous platform at the end. I'm just going sparing to start with for reasons that I don't fully understand myself. Okay, so then we need to do our fancy splittery system for basically... Well, the problem we have, if you didn't know, is that screws are made at a rate of 90 per minute. I also use 15 per minute iron rods, so a belt of 60 per minute runs 4 of these. So each one's making 90 per minute, however the assemblers require 120 per minute, which means we need to do a bit of messing around with the belts to make it all work out. Conveniently, if you split one of these into 3 and put each of the thirds on one of these, you get 120 on each belt. So it works out nicely, you just gotta get there. So we gotta work out a structure. Basically, one of them's gotta have a splitter, and then the rest need to have a bunch of mergers. And we also gotta make sure we actually have the space to work all this. I realize that could be a problem with me compressing it all in here. Because one of the belts has to go around the outside of the splitter, basically, and come back towards everything, which I think is okay. I think. I'm gonna do it over here. We're gonna have the guy over here. Again, we'll be sparing with the clearance. Like, I'm not trying to put this in a compressed space. It's literally an open plane. The system's meant to be scalable. I've deliberately picked a direction where we can travel a pretty decent way before we hit anything that blocks us. And if we do end up with like a rise in altitude, we can have a couple ramps, and the system will probably be mostly okay. It'll be slightly wonky, maybe, for a while. Okay, and then we just got a line. Merger up like that, and then theoretically we could have these all just line directly up with the corresponding constructors. I think it does technically work, but I am inclined to move them out a bit. Doesn't have to be a million miles, just maybe slightly more than that. Yeah, we'll go one further than that. And the convenient thing about this is that it in itself is scalable. Like, this 4 constructor, 3 assembler system should be something that we can just duplicate as we expand the system. That's the idea. Is that right? Did I do that in the right spot? Yeah, I think I've lined it up all the same way. So yeah, there might be a way of doing it slightly more compact, but it's a relatively minor thing that I'm not going to bother with. So that's a simple bit. Each one of these ones runs into one of these, and then we have the part where this splits and goes to each of the mergers. So we got to sort out some conveyor poles that will hop over the top of belts. Make them all match up fairly nicely and how they are arranged. Previously I've done this on grass, now I get to do it on a nice even area. Hang on, didn't line that up quite right. There we go. Everything's going to be lovely and neat with this particular one, assuming I don't get something wrong. That just has to go up and then down again, leave space for this belt to come out without anything getting in its way. Then there's just this one here, which is going to have a bit of an interesting journey. I think what I'll do is I'll put just a conveyor pole on the ground, line it up with there. I think we'll get it to do a nice turn. Oh no, that's not right. We have to move it forward at least one, maybe more. There we go. That's a nice straight-ish. Okay, it's not actually straight. I guess the outputs of the mergers aren't quite aligned with locations that conveyor poles can be in. That's fine. Right, then it hops up, connects to you. carries on staying high up for a while and then drops down over here. And that's the system. So this one's splitting its output of 90 into 3 30s. Each 30 is joining a 90 to make 120, and so each one of these is outputting 120 into the 3 assemblies that we'll have. And there's going to be a little bit of shimmying around here because this part doesn't work, and I could line it up better, but it doesn't really matter that much. All of this is kind of pointless right now, but it's all future-proofing, because right now the belts can't support the actual rate of production of the constructors, so the best we'll be getting is 60 per minute, but as soon as we get the Mark II belts, we'll be able to get it all running at the actual correct speed, so it's not too far off that working. Now, we've also got to bear in mind there's going to be another belt coming in here and doing its thing, so we've got to have a little bit of space for that, maybe. Right, let us see about assemblers. Can we make assemblers? That's the question. I don't see them. I think maybe we need to do the part assembly research in order to be able to automatically make the plates. So we'll hop back over to the base and do that. Yeah, I am sprinting. Or, well, this isn't really sprinting. This is jogging at best. We do get to run faster a little bit later on. I say a little bit. It's a fair chunk further on, I think. It all depends on Caterium, actually. Speaking of, what's the situation with the MAM? I haven't paid attention to this for a while. Yeah, there's a couple things going on.
This Mycelia can be used to create fabrics.
Yeah, we've researched mushrooms. It's fine. Yeah, we don't have enough in the way of alien carapace yet, so I guess we'll do bacon agaric, one of those. Just needs the one. Do that. 5 minutes. No able to scan for the stuff. Not vitally important, but we might as well do it for completionism's sake. Oh, we don't have enough stuff on us to complete this. Curses. Alright, I'll go restock. But yeah, part assembly I know gives us rotors as well. I didn't know if it would be needed for anything else. Turns out it is. Might as well just restock and everything. Even concrete we're running down our supply of course. There we go. And there we go. Back over, and I really should have made this the concrete belt go overhead. That was a silly move on my part. And there we go. We'll let Ada say her thing.
Milestone.
Well, we won't let Ada say her thing. We'll let her start saying her thing so we can tell her to stop saying the thing. And what have we got to do? Oh, there is the colour gun. We do need that if we want to do decorative stuff. So definite priority. Nothing else is kind of vital right now. Fabric would be nice, but it's not super important. How does it unlock biomass? I guess it's biomass made of the mushrooms, maybe? Not too important at this stage. We're going to try and get to coal soon. We might need to do one more run to get more power stuff. Hard to say. How's this looking? Yeah, we're at more like half power now, so everything's only going to last like... Was it 30 seconds per fuel? 200 in a stack. We've got less by now. Who knows, really? Oh, hang on, I should check. Ooh. Assemblers need rotors. Modular frames. Okay, we're going to have to do a little bit more manual crafting than I was hoping for. Modular frames are a pain. We'll just make what we need. 3 for each machine, so we need 12 of those. Though I should probably make 24 because I'm then going to be making rotor production. Actually, we'll just make the 12. We've got enough trouble making that many. As it stands, it's going to be a little bit of manual crafting. Oh dear, maybe I should make some screw production, just so that I can have a storage for them after all. I was hoping I could just skip that necessity by having the plates be made and stuff. We'll need plenty of these. I'm not sure exactly how many. Actually, I guess it's based on the reinforced iron plate number. I think we have enough there. 30's a good amount. Let's make all of these and see what it gets us. We also need screws for the rotors, damn. Hang on. We can make 5 more. We need to make more than that. Yeah, we need to make 8 more. So we'll keep making reinforced iron plates till we can make 8 modular frames. Actually, I'll just carry on making them a little more because we want some spare. And then 8 of these exactly we're looking for. And then we need... actually, oh, was it 9 we needed actually? It might have been 9. Now I think about it. Was it 9? Am I getting mixed up? Yeah, I am. I only needed 9 of those. And I need 12 rotors, so we'll make the rotors. What are they? More screws, yep, and rods. That's standard. It's all about screws in the intermediate stages. Everything needs screws. And then everything beyond that needs the things that need screws, so it's a real major part of the system. And yeah, because of the ridiculous output rate of machines making screws, it's clear that they need to be integrated on the main bus. Even with the insane belt speed you get later on, it seems like it's just not worth the effort. Might as well just do them on site, because there's a nice ratio thing you can do anyway, and it works basically the same for rotors. Right, there's the 12. Let's get back to it. Got a couple of spare reinforced iron plates if we need them, though I don't think we will. Presumably just be fine there. Got to restock here, because we used up a hell of a lot of stuff. There we go, and let's sort my inventory, because it's looking horrific. And back to work with this. And then we'll actually hook up the supply belts. We haven't got to that quite yet. It'll all happen at once when it happens. Right, so yeah, we need the assemblers, and we can presumably now make them. Yep, oh, they also require cable in fast quantities, but we have enough on us. We need enough room for these belts to input, which is easy, but they do have to do a bit of a wiggle, some of them. But we also need room for the iron belt to come in, so I might just build that into the system. Like, put this in first, work out where it will go. Basically going to be, I think, dead between these two here. It's got a bit of clearance from them. It's not fantastic, but it will do. I could split them beforehand, just have that sorted out outside, and then have the stuff all just come in overhead. That's the thing. 3 dimensions is an important thing to remember that you have. Let's just try... Oh, it's not going to work, is it? One's going to output over this way. That's not going to work. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening here. Oh, we're going to have our belt coming out here. It's going to do its thing. We've got to get over this and then do some splitting. Actually, we can just have the splitter here. We can just not try and have all 3 outputs come off of that straight away. That doesn't work at all. I like how splitters just don't care about encroaching on other things. Everything else in the game has a massive tiz if you try and send it somewhere it doesn't like. But splitters, you can place them anywhere. They won't complain. It's great. Right, have I got that right this time? Nah, I've given it clearance the wrong way this time. Well, I guess it's the same either way. The thing's got to hop over that belt later. It's all a bit of a mess, this. The thing that I just briefly forgot that I would need to sort this all out, and so I didn't quite factor it in everywhere. Okay, so we're going to put some assemblers in, and we might end up moving these. We're just going to see how everything connects. We've got space if we need to make some. And we're just going to put these up against the edge like everything else. So something like there. Oh, that's not right at all. Oh, that's clipped into the splitter. I'm surprised it allowed that. Usually the buildings don't. Or the machines. Extend this by another tile. It's clearly going to be needed. For the outputs, nothing else. And yeah, we just need to move this like a notch or two. Not a huge amount. Okay, line it up there, and then, yep, put it like there. That's a decent amount of room. And then let's see what happens if we just put 2 more on the end of this. Just line it all up the same. That uses, like, basically the same space, slightly less than the 4 constructor, so it works out well. And then, yeah, this is slightly off. No, it's not having it. If we move this further back, it'll have it. Because half the issue now is it's trying to double back on itself. What we can do is move this back to where it was a second ago. Like that. But we're going to continue to have this problem the whole way down. Like, this thing's going to have to do a wiggle over to here a bit. This one, I guess it can sit in the right spot, actually. Maybe we can do that with all of them, except this one, because there's a bit too much stuff in the way. Alright, let's see if this connects. Oh, it doesn't. Might just move this up one more. Now, it's got all the belts to, like, maneuver around. I'm going to move these back by a smidge. Like, literally one notch will do. Easy. There. And then we do it the same for the other 2. It is nice this game just gives you back all your materials after you deconstruct stuff. Because there's a lot of that happens. That's one thing they've got right about the game design is, yeah, let people just tear everything down without concern. Because otherwise you're going to have a lot of people just having a bad time. Players won't enjoy it if all their hard work gets destroyed really often. Okay, flip this around, facing this way. We gotta get it to... Oh, come on. Belts get in the way, making me build on it. I think that's what we want. Yeah, that's surely enough space. Like that's absolutely fine. Getting there, however, is going to be slightly awkward, especially because these are screws. They have quite a high, like, model, so it's going to be a pain. Actually, here's a question. If I build a conveyor pole on the ground, can I then build a splitter? No, I can't build a splitter on it. There's no way to, like, raise a splitter a small amount without just, like, making a belt for it to go on. Which, honestly, I might do right now, because that would make this so much easier. Like, if I just get a conveyor pole here, doop, and then we run all the way down over here, we build another conveyor pole. And then we just run a belt from this way to this way. Then I can just build the splitters up here, and they'll probably just happily connect to the assemblers without issue. Especially if I manage to get it to be a proper straight line. Like, that might be too steep. No, that works. So if I can line it up properly the rest of the time, then it'll work. I won't have an issue. Just got to make sure we get it spot on, or it might not work properly. And this doesn't technically need to be a splitter, but I'm future-proofing. So we'll say that this could continue on if it ever needed to, not that it should right now. There we go, they all connect. Piece of cake. Should have done that from the start, that made it so much easier. Right, then we just got to connect these through to these. Is that going to clip through? Yeah, I'm going to move that just out of principle of Eclipse if I don't. Just have it go to a pole that's right there. Oh, no. Join to... Yeah, there we go. There to there, and then there to there. So yeah, they do a slight bit of a turn, but it's the minor thing, doesn't mean anything. And that is all the belt stuff connected, at least on this end. We just got to do the other end now. So reinforced iron plates, and yep, the recipe is 120 of these per minute and 20 iron plates per minute. So 3 of these uses 60. It's perfect. They deliberately set that up, I imagine, to be nice and convenient, but still require a little bit of finagling to get it to do exactly what you want. So we'll just run along all these, get them all making screws. And then we just got to connect up the actual supply belts. This might need a bit of moving around. So yeah, oh, we got to do all this back here. I never actually put the machines in. Yeah, I guess they're... Are they machines? Is a splitter a machine? Who knows? The great questions of this age. I can't walk through here. That's going to drive me nuts. I can just about sneak around the side of the splitter. There we go, all those in place, just gotta do the busy work here. Get them all connected. Okay, I can jump over the splitters at least. And there, and there. And then we just gotta connect that there. And then this thing needs to carry on for a while. Where to exactly? Difficult to say. We should have some consistency here, so let's say it goes to there. Like we just have it locked to the ground every 2 blocks. Then here it'll end up going off the beaten path a bit, so let's work this backwards. Oh, there's not a nice way to make it, like, turn. It's gonna do a weird thing. Unless I put the ground pole there. And then... Okay, yeah, it's got the right turn on it, but now it's too steep. We gotta make sure this turns first. This raises first, even. Before it turns. That's what we want. There we go, lovely and neat, that's what we're looking for. We'll have it just run up to there. So yeah, now we just need to put plates running into this, rods running into that. I don't know if I should split off from these lines or just straight up bring them out from the storages. I'll split off from the lines because we don't want the storages running dry if I overuse things in the future, which presumably I at some point will. So, it's going to be slightly weird, especially that thing. And this isn't going to be the permanent arrangement, I think. Probably going to want to change it later. Maybe I have a dedicated supply for my own storage. Okay, so this one's plate, so they're already the right way around. Yeah, so right now, because I'm planning on this not lasting forever, they're just going to be kind of wishy-washy all over the place. Just get them to hook up. And of course I put them ground level, so I've got to walk under it. I've already made my bed now, we're going to lie in it. Can't stop me. To there. And round to there. Oh, we also need the power. That's an important element of this whole system. Everything needs power. Okay. Well, it's a pretty simple system, seeing as it's all going to be scalable, all the machine's going to be in a line, you just got to maintain a proper line of power poles. So, connect them together, connect each one to 2 machines. I'll have something down on the end here that's just a main branch power pole thing. Oh, it's set there, straight on the middle tile. Hopefully that'll connect. Yep, that works fine. And we can just have these at pretty regular intervals. Where does the power connect on these things? It's more this way. I'm gonna just extend this out so I can put the power pole in exactly that spot. I shouldn't do that. I should put it here where it's more out of the way. There we go. And there we go. And yeah, it's going to be a lovely, easily maintainable system. Just have this power line running all the way down. Each one's going to connect to the next one along the previous one and branch off to the side, which means that they'll always have a spare slot on them, which is good in case I make any important decisions about power grid stuff in future. There's a bit of redundancy in the system. Now we just got to get this to run over to the rest of our power network. I'm going to have it kind of go over this way and make straight for the hub, because that seems like the smart thing to do. So to there, and then, yep, we can just connect it straight to that corner of the hub network, and that should be this whole thing kicking into action. Now this is going to make our power network struggle, presumably. But this is what we're here for. Yep, here's all the screws. They're all running through. The balancing system's going to be relatively pointless right now, but I thought I'd just get it set up so it's all ready. And it's all running into these, and yeah, it's going to take a while for the assemblers to actually be able to kick in. But when they do, they'll run 50% of the time. Yeah, it's not great, but they'll run. They will run. They'll make us 2.5 per minute each, so we'll be getting 7.5 a minute. And that means 10 minutes to complete the requirements of a space elevator in terms of reinforced iron plates. So we'll probably make some sort of unloading system and things for that, but I think it's where I'm going to leave it for today. We have our setup, we've achieved the goal of getting the reinforced iron plates being made, and we can now watch them as that whole process begins. Yep, there we go, we got our first one from this machine, and the same is probably going to be the case for the rest of them. And yeah, it's all looking good. We got our plates coming in, they're all doing their thing. It's all going to build up because we're only using half of it right now. All the rods are going to be used for a while as screws are made full pelt and build up in the machines. Interesting. This one's not actually being fully supplied. It's probably taking time to build up in the rest of them. That is the thing with having a splitter system like this, is that it favors the first machine in the line, which is not a bad idea. If you end up just like no longer adhering to perfect ratios and stuff, and you just decide to build as many machines as you think you might be able to support, as is kind of the purpose of the main bus. I'm kind of cheating with it right now and not using it properly. Like, it makes sense to just favor the first machine, so that's running full stop, non-stop, not full stop, running non-stop, and then however many machines can will run non-stop, and it will feed relatively little to the machines further along, because why would you bother? So yeah, we're kind of doing a halfway between modular and main bus setup right now, but I imagine it's going to transition more to main bus over time as I find more and more different recipes that require bits of this and bits of that. And it becomes harder to maintain the ratios. Right now it's just convenient. This setup happens to be perfectly set up to perfectly supply this. Literally to the individual plate per minute. It's exactly perfect. And then we get to rotors and it stops being perfect, but it's still pretty close. It's still close enough that I just look the other way and let it do its thing at slightly the wrong speed. So as the sun sets, rises, I can't remember if it's been day or night the entire time I've been working. That's the thing, the lighting's not too bad at night time, so you just kind of don't notice it. They realize that night and day only needs to be here for atmospheric purposes and therefore shouldn't actually disrupt gameplay by it being genuinely dark at night time. So I don't know. I think it's sunrise. Seems like the sun's maybe going higher. I think it's going higher. Yeah, sun's going up. It is sunrise. But there we go. A good night to work then. And next episode we'll see if we can get this going into some storage or something. We'll work it out exactly. I guess I'll probably hook it into the big storage array over there. And then probably get to work on rotors and build the space elevator. We definitely have the materials for the space elevator. We have had them for quite a while. And then we'll be able to research tiers 3 and 4 and do some of the cool stuff there. But that is all we have time for today, so I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.